Project timelines are crucial to the success of any project. Yet, only 2.5% of companies complete 100% of their projects. 80% of projects fail to meet their timelines. So, how do you write a project plan timeline? It's essential to break down the project into manageable chunks. Assign tasks and set deadlines for each task. A project timeline template is an excellent starting point. It helps to ensure that you don't miss any essential tasks. Another word for a project timeline is a project schedule. It outlines the order in which tasks should be completed. A timeline example could be a Gantt chart. It provides a visual representation of the project timeline. To write a timeline, start with the project start and end dates. Then, add tasks and their respective deadlines. A project timeline chart is a graphical representation of the timeline. It helps to see the project's progress at a glance. The timeline process involves gathering project requirements, breaking them down into tasks, and setting deadlines for each task. This ensures that the project is completed on time. A project timeline is essential because it helps to manage the project effectively. It ensures that the project is completed on time and within budget. A project timeline or roadmap is a visual representation of the project's timeline. It helps to keep the project team on track. A timeline document is a written record of the project timeline. It includes tasks, deadlines, and progress updates. A Gantt chart is a type of timeline. It provides a visual representation of the project timeline. To use a timeline, first, break down the project into tasks. Then, add deadlines for each task and assign them to team members. For items that make up a project timeline are tasks, deadlines, team members, and progress updates. Timeline is also called a project schedule or project plan. It outlines the tasks and their respective deadlines. Three types of timelines are project timelines, personal timelines, and historical timelines. Each serves a different purpose. The timeline of a project proposal outlines the tasks and their respective deadlines. It helps to ensure that the project is completed on time and within budget. Features of a timeline include tasks, deadlines, team members, and progress updates. It's essential to keep the timeline up to date. To create a timeline, follow these 5 steps. Identify tasks, set deadlines, assign tasks to team members, track progress, and update the timeline. To present your timeline, use a graphical representation such as a Gantt chart. It provides an overview of the project timeline. A project manager timeline is a visual representation of the project timeline. It helps to manage the project effectively. A timeline diagram is a graphical representation of the timeline. It helps to see the project's progress at a glance. To create a timeline in Excel, follow these steps. Insert a table, add tasks and deadlines, and create a chart. A timeline of all projects is a complete list of all the projects and their respective timelines. It helps to manage multiple projects effectively. Timeline design involves creating a visual representation of the timeline. It should be clear and easy to understand. To plan a project, start by gathering requirements. Then, break them down into tasks and assign deadlines. Timeline strategy is the approach used to create the project timeline. It should be tailored to the project's needs. A project roadmap is a visual representation of the project timeline. It helps to keep the project team on track. Project timeline and milestones are closely related. Milestones are significant events in the project timeline. Key elements of a project timeline include tasks, deadlines, team members, and progress updates. It's essential to keep the timeline up to date. The difference between a timeline and a deadline is that a timeline outlines the tasks and their respective deadlines. A deadline is a fixed date by which a task must be completed. Remember, a well-planned project timeline is essential for successful project completion. Follow these tips to create an effective project timeline.